the World Series is going on right now. I can't say like this moment because the game just ended. We waited for it to end before proceeding. But we'll get to that in just a minute. We'll get to game 3 in just a minute. But a few things of note that have gone on so far. First off, Ketel Marte has been on an absolute tear since his first postseason game ever. The dude has gotten a hit in every single postseason game he has ever played in his life. He is on a 19-game hitting streak in the postseason. That is a record for those of you keeping track, those of you who are actuaries, and it's just flat out incredible, Brig. It's amazing because you get to the postseason and you see the best pitching in the league. You have the biggest moments that you're going to see in your entire career, and that's where they separate the goods from the greats, right? In the postseason, like that's the reason Chris Taylor continues to have the role that he has the Dodgers, because he's okay during the regular season, but you come to the postseason and that dude's lights out, right? Like you need a big hit in the postseason. Chris Taylor's the guy who's going to get that for the Dodgers. And we've seen so far, if you need a base runner, Ketel Marte is going to get you a base runner.
He's the guy.
For sure. So it's amazing. I'm absolutely in love with it because he's a former Mariner, and this is the guy who I was hoping he would pan out to be. And it's amazing.
Well, good. So, I got a question about that.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you this is like the second or third time tonight on the show where you've said something like, because they used to be a member or associated with the Mariners, I am therefore on their team and rooting for them and whatever.
Okay.
It's interesting because as a Yankees fan, the margin is very, very narrow. Where I'm like, yeah, but, like, yeah, he used to be a Yankee. So, like, for instance, like Aroldis Chapman is a perfect example. It's a timely example.
Right. Yeah.
He's not doing too hot right now in the postseason.
No.
And I'm like, yeah, good.
So it has a lot to do with their performance when they were in Seattle, right?
Good.
Like,
okay, good.
Like every Mariner fan is forever a King Felix fan because of what he did. And
for sure
hates everybody who was part of the front office when he was a Mariner because they wrecked his career.
Totally.
Right? Absolutely wasted all of it.
Yeah.
John McLaren from earlier was like the most likable guy in the world. I think he replaced I want to say he replaced Bob Melvin. He was the bench coach for so long, and he was so funny in the Funny Mariners commercials. He was just absolutely hilarious. Everybody loved him. All the fans knew who he was and loved him. Because how often do you know and love the bench coach, Brig? Let's be honest.
That's what I
Not
was
often. But we all know who he was. And when they promoted him to manager after, I think it was after Bob Melvin was fired, it's like, yeah, we love this guy. It's awesome. But he was a terrible manager. He was so bad. But we all still liked him because of how he was the bench coach. And Ketel Marte was good in Seattle. The only saving grace for the deal that the Mariners made sending him to Arizona was they got Mitch Haniger back out of the deal.
Right.
If it had been anybody else, it'd be another one. I was like, God.
Yeah, listen, I just want to know if this is a common thing in the rest of the baseball community. Like, baseball family, tell us what you think. Are you rooting for former players that happen to be in big situations like this, or is it more of like you can have him?
Well, so I'm cheering for Paulo Sewald. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Right, but, exactly.
Yeah, and like I think just about every Mariners fan is. Yeah. Because he was one of the most likable guys on that team the last few years.
Right.
So, well, but as far as like Sean Figgins goes, like that guy can go to hell. But anyway.
Right. Anyway, fair enough.
Because he stole money while I was in Seattle. Forgot how to play baseball. Anyway, let's move on to game 1.
Yeah, there you go.
So, first off, Adolis Garcia set a record for the most RBIs in a single postseason. 22. He has driven in 22 RBIs this postseason. That he's hit that number in game 1. It maintains through game 3 because he did not drive in anything in game 2 or game 3. Yeah. This was previously held by the Cardinals' David Freese. And you want to know something super funny, Brig? I think if I heard this right, wasn't Adolis Garcia originally? He was originally in the Cardinals organization,
Yep.
and went to Texas as part of with David Freese.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah, they're connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It's crazy the way things like that work out in baseball because it's like such a large world, but at the same time so small. It's
Totally.
bananas.
Yeah.
Just crazy. So he broke the record with his 60th plate appearance. Freese set the record with his 71st plate appearance in 2011. It's no wonder, though, that Garcia set that with 60 as opposed to 71 because the dude has been hitting homers like crazy.
Yeah.
Is that a mark
I
that
agree.
gets broken in the next few years, the way we're seeing runs scored right now?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Next year, year after, how long do you think it lasts? And
Two or
what do you think
three.
he gets to? What do you think he gets to? Do you think he gets to 25, 26, 30?
Oh, I don't know about 30.
30
I could see
that'll be a lot.
25. I could see
Yeah.
25.
Well, think about this though. I mean, he hits 2 more 3-run homers. If this series goes 7, he gets 2 more 3-run homers. That's 28, and then drives in 2 on a double.
Yeah.
Or
I could see it.
Yeah.
He's got time. There's time. The way the series is going.
Yeah. Certainly. He also extended his home run streak to 5 games in a row, and RBI streak to 7 games in a row after game 1. Only 3 players ever have driven in runs in 8 consecutive playoff games. Ryan Howard did it in 2008. Alex Rodriguez did it from 2007 2009. And your boy, Brig, Lou Gehrig, did it in 1929 through 1932.
Yep.
But Adolis Garcia, spoilers, like I said, didn't get to it in game 2. So his streak ended at 7.
Yep.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us about the rest of game 1 here, Brig?
Yeah.
You mind if I talk about this with Corey Seager, and then I'll turn it over to you? Okay,
ahead.
so this is the thing is crazy is that the Diamondbacks had it wrapped up in the 9th inning.
They did.
Had a 5-3 lead going into the 9th. Paul Sewald comes in to close it out. The dude has been absolute nails this postseason. Has not given up a run until this night, in which he walked a batter. And then came Corey Seager, and this to me was like textbook Paul Sewald. After that first walk, I wasn't watching the game. I had other stuff going on that night.
Yeah,
we were at a Halloween function. But I would have texted you, Brig, as soon as he walked that dude, been like, this game's going to be tied here in just a minute, because this is what happens with Paul Sewald every single time. If he walks the first or second batter, what he does is he overcompensates and leans more toward the heart of the plate. He does this every single time. And I don't know if he does it consciously or subconsciously, but I feel like this is what happens every single time. Is as soon as he walks a guy, he gets a little bit fatter on the plate. And he was able to get away with it with Marcus Semien because he has been ice cold.
Yeah,
right?
That's fact. Yeah.
But you get the machine up there, Corey Seager, and you can't give that guy anything over the plate anytime, anywhere, and you certainly couldn't put him on, because then you've got the winning run at the plate, right?
Yeah.
With Garcia or Lowe, right? You don't want those guys coming up as the winning run.
No, you don't.
And so you kind of pitched to him, and Sewald got too fat on the plate, and Seager put it in the seats where it belonged.
It was just a monster.
It was, and it's crazy because, like I said, as a Mariners fan, I saw this several times throughout the year, where he would walk a guy in the 9th inning, like, oh shoot, this game's about to be tied or over.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll do you one better. Corey Seager's game-tying 2-run home run is only the 14th time in World Series history, Brad, that turned a would-be loss into a tie or a win.
That's crazy.
I thought that was a pretty cool statistic. So the Rangers, they won the game 6-5, and Adolis Garcia hit a freaking nuke to off, and it was
that. So, dude, I mean, it was an Oppo taco, right? An Oppo bomb.
Yeah, it was an Oppo taco. Yeah.
I thought, after people describing it as a nuke, I thought it was going to be like a lot farther, because I felt like it kind of snuck over the wall.
Well, yeah.
I thought it had a chance of not making it out.
Because it was Oppo, though, I was like, dude, because he did miss a little bit, and it
He
did
did,
not
and
get.
that's the thing. He did miss it a little bit. You're right.
But that
He
guy's
did miss it.
so strong, though, that had he got it clean, it would have been. I mean, now I'm
Could have been an
unapologetic,
oppo
but
upper deck.
anyway, I just like Garcia. We'll talk more
I know
about
you
him in a
do.
minute.
I like him when he's not
Anyway,
playing the teams I'm cheering for.
yeah. It ended in the 11th inning, guys. This was the first time this entire postseason we've had free baseball, and we learned that there's no Manfred man on
Right.
second
My
base.
mom actually texted me that day, and she said,
Yep.
"Are they using the runner on second?" I was like, "I don't remember."
I couldn't
Because
remember either, but it didn't start the 10th didn't start with a runner on second. And I was like, "Oh, good."
yeah, that's the way it should be.
It was such a pure game at that point.
Mhm.
I just was very happy. The whole thing was a very pure game, and it was
Oh,
exciting.
and hopefully, my last thing on the Manfred man. Hopefully, the fact that game ended the 11th goes a long way to them being like, maybe we don't need it so much,
Yeah,
or maybe we
that's
can
what I
start it
hope.
in the 12th.
I totally agree. So the game lasted like 4.5 hours though, because once they started going to their bullpen really heavily, both
Oh,
teams,
it takes forever every time.
that slowed everything down. I remember looking up, everybody else fell asleep. It was me and the dog, and I'm like, "What? Why is this game?" And then I looked at the clock, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" Of course, it's this has been a 1,000-year long game. So anyway, that was also interesting. It's probably not the longest game in World Series history, but we
No.
can go look at that. Ketel Marte, like we said, he hit a double that extended his postseason streak to 17. That was at the time. Really interesting. The D-backs stole 4 bases in Game 1 alone. That is to me incredible, and I think Christian Walker was one of them, if I'm not mistaken, which makes it even more
He
incredible.
was, yeah. Like I think
Yeah,
technically it was considered a stolen base, but I think it was mostly like defensive indifference.
indifference. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Marte had one, Walker had one, Alec Thomas
Carroll.
had one. Carroll didn't have one.
Oh, he didn't have one. Oh,
Geraldo
interesting.
Perdomo had the other one.
Oh, cool. So here, but it was such a, like, we expected a pitching duel between Evaldi and Gallen, and they both had really strong outings at times, and then they got really shaky at other times, and it
Hmm.
really balanced it out. It became a really balanced game. Evaldi faced 22 batters, struck out 8. He earned 5 runs on 6 hits and 1 walk. That was over 4 2/3 innings pitched. Then Gallen had 22 batters faced, struck out 5. He earned 3 of the runs on 4 hits, and he gave up 4 walks. That was across 5 innings pitched. So really, the comparison between the two is fascinating.
I think
How
though,
even?
I think Gallon's 4 walks though were by design.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that
I
point their
agree,
plan I think was to not pitch to Seager,
and
right? Because
maybe
he
even
had
Garcia.
and yeah, because they walked him once, they walked Jonah Heim twice.
I don't think that's by design.
I don't think that's by design either, but I
No,
think though walking Seager, walking Garcia, I think that was part of the game plan. They need to
yeah,
stick with it.
I
I
agree.
don't care if you've
They've
got to run
got
on
to.
first at this point. You got to stick with it
Yeah, that's the only way to win
because
right now.
he is the guy who's killing you. He tied the game. Spoiler alert: he won the game tonight.
Yep, he sure did. Tell him about game 2, Brad.
Okay, Ketel Marte extended his hitting streak to 18 games. It was at that point is no longer a 4-way tie. This put him first place, all alone, all time. Tommy Pham went 4 for 4. What? Who's this guy? Right?
Suddenly, yeah. The
Um,
guy who self-proclaimed is the long ball guy on a small ball club, right? And he goes 4 for 4.
yeah, I love it. It's amazing. By the way, he has cool shoes. Can we just say for just a minute, his
Oh
shoes
yeah.
are killer, and I'm 99% sure, Brick. I had those that same pattern on my cleats when I was in like 5th grade, but they were black
Yeah,
and
yeah.
white,
Oh
and
yeah, totally.
not
Totally.
nearly as cool as the black and red because that is absolute fire. But so
Mhm.
this is the cool thing about Tommy Pham. So he approached the Diamondbacks manager Terry Lavolo, and he said, "Hey, my buddy Jace Peterson is on this roster. I know he's there's a good chance he might not get into a game. The game is in hand. The Diamondbacks, I believe, are up 9-1 at this point, 7-1.
7-1. I think it was 7-1.
7-1. And he asked the manager, he put him into pinch hit for me. So he did. Jace Peterson got in there, got his at bat.
Yep.
And I think that is a totally classy move by Pham.
Totally.
It was not I don't want to play anymore, sit me down. It was
no.
Do my buddy a solid here. Get him in at bat because this could be the only chance.
Well, in listening to Lovullo talk about it, it was he said, I don't know anybody who pays more attention to every single insignificant and significant detail in the ball game. The dude knew he had 4 for 4. He knew what was going on with all the other players. He knew he had a chance to make history, and he still approached me and said, hey, hook my boy up. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And Lovullo comes in and he says, look, there are some conditions, and I will circle back based on what the situation dictates. But I don't know if I can do it. I can't promise. And then it worked out that he was able to. I think is really amazing teamwork and really cool of the manager to do that. I just loved it. That's the kind of human interest piece that I just think is awesome.
Yeah. So it looks like Peterson reached on a fielder's choice, and then he came around to score.
Would you look at that?
What do you know?
Well,
so it's funny, though. So looking at this about Tommy Pham, this is the last thing about this, is I think what we can learn from this, Brig, is if he is your friend, he will be fiercely loyal to you.
Well, I'm telling you.
But if you wrong him, he will slap you in the face on the warning track of the field.
Yeah.
He absolutely will slap you across the face. Jock Peterson, what the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap. That's the kind of guy.
That is a great callback. It's a great callback.
So, more on game 2. The Rangers only had 4 hits the entire game, thanks to Merrill Kelly. Pitched lights out, tossed an absolute gem. 1 run on 3 hits, struck out 9 over 7 complete. Again, I was at another Halloween function, but I was following along on my phone this time. And I was shocked that he actually went out there for the 7th. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I was too. Yeah.
But also super fired up.
I love that Evan Longoria had a sack bunt.
He and 2 other guys.
That? I just love that they're doing this. But the fact that Evan Longoria is doing it, because he's been struggling at the plate anyway, and the fact that he will just lay one down and then, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we all know he's not going to beat it out. Like,
right.
We all know that.
Yeah, there is one reason he's bunting. And I love that the Diamondbacks are doing this. We talked about this going into the series, that they're a sack bunt team. They're a small ball team.
Yeah.
And they're continuing to do it. They haven't been taking advantage of opportunities to run as much. They only had 1 stolen base in game 2 and 1 stolen base in game 3. Yeah. I think they need to get the game running, moving a little bit more, because with all those we said 4 stolen bases in game 1.
Yeah.
They it came down to a bad pitch that they lost that game, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Or that they didn't have it wrapped up in 9. So I think if they keep things moving, I think they have a real shot to take the series, because
I agree.
They didn't take advantage of opportunities to run tonight. They didn't have very many, but they should have taken more advantage of them.
Yep.
So,
well, speaking of tonight, the game 3 just ended. So a couple of notables. The roof was open tonight. The weather was perfecto.
So good today, Brig. Like, I walked outside wearing a hoodie and shorts, and I could not have been more comfortable. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Such perfect weather in Phoenix right now.
Christian Walker ran through a stop sign at third base. This is notable. He was out by, you can say a mile, but it was more like 4 miles.
He's out by a country mile, Brig.
It was never going to happen. And but he missed the sign. That's what it was. He was getting waved home before he got to third base. He put his head down to step on the bag, and he never lifted his head back up, because the third base coach did put the sign to stop, and he just missed it. So
then, as he ran, the thing that I absolutely loved was as he ran by the third base coach, like he's just so defeated, just like, get down, gotta slide.
The coach was like, "All right, sorry, man."
Yeah.
So
but
that
Lovullo
was an opportunity for a rally.
It was, and Lovullo said as soon as Christian Walker got in the clubhouse or got in the dugout, he owned it. He said that he missed it. He should have looked up. Completely owned it.
Yeah.
Just, my bad. My bad, guys.
Yeah.
But it was such a bummer because it killed a rally before it even had a chance to start. John Smoltz pointed out, instead of runners on first and third with one out, now you've got a runner on second, or first and third with nobody out. Now you've got a runner on second with one out, and it totally changed the dynamic of the inning.
Yeah, it did. Corey Seager hits every single possible pitch. You could throw him a dinner plate and he'd hit it. You could throw him a pebble, he'd hit it. It wouldn't matter.
He wouldn't
The
just hit
dude's
it;
going
he'd
to
hit
hit
it out.
everything. Yeah,
He'd
he'd
get out
hit
of
it.
the
Well,
yard.
that pebble's going. I'm telling you. So he did it again tonight against Brandon Pfaadt, and that's just what he's doing now. He's just in the zone, man. That dude's lights out. I don't know what else to say.
He is. And I will say this about Brandon Pfaadt is that the guy you saw in the third inning tonight was the guy the Diamondbacks trotted out there most of the season.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Not bad. He got out of it. Only gave up 3 runs, but it was only 3 runs really on like 3 pitches.
3. Yeah, right.
Right? There was a single,
Yeah.
or I think it was a double, a single, and a home run.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much fine other than that, but it's that one inning will kill you.
Yeah, and it did tonight. The thing is that there was such an opportunity for the Diamondbacks tonight. If they get their bats going, then they had the chance to really dominate this game, because Scherzer was done after 3 innings. He left with back tightness. Now, and it may have had something to do with that comebacker that hit him on the elbow, and he kind of spun and twisted out of the way, and then it went, it caromed off his elbow and got barehanded at third base.
It hit his elbow, hit his back, and then went to Young at third. I'm honestly surprised that Young was able to make that play that clean and get the runner at first.
No kidding, dude. Like, that was some seriously, like, he must have been in the Twilight Zone or something, because he barehanded it, made the throw. It was absolutely beautiful. I don't know. It was magic. So that might have been why Scherzer left. Who's to say? Adolis Garcia also exited the game. This was in the 8th inning. He had some side tightness. He took a really awkward swing. He has a big boy swing, let's be honest, and he wants it all the time.
Violent.
So, but he was basically limping to first base, and it looked like that those like oblique muscles is what he was kind of, especially toward the rear. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they come back with, but he's got to play more. He's not going to sit if he can help it. So,
right.
It'll be interesting. What do you think? How does the dynamic change, Brad, if Adolis Garcia can't play the rest of the series?
One less guy you got to pitch to.
That's true.
I mean, Zach Gallen talked about the Phillies, about how really you're worried about Scherzer and Harper, and not too much about anybody else in that lineup.
You mean Schwarber.
That's what I meant. Schwarber and Harper.
Yeah.
And then Nick Castellanos, if he got fired, he'd have been trouble, but he didn't. And I feel like the Rangers aren't too different. Simeon hasn't super shown up yet. Seager is a problem. Garcia is a problem.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Lowe can be if he gets going.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gotten to be too big of a problem yet for the D-backs. Jonah Heim, they haven't given him an opportunity to really get going yet.
Carter gets on base though, and
Garber
can.
And Garber can, but at the same time though, they're not guys that you're afraid of.
No.
It's those guys, it's potential. Oh yeah, he could potentially hurt us, but I'm not too worried about it. If he does, if Garver and Carver beat us, okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like, let's do everything we can to keep Seager from beating us, because he's more likely to. I think is the way you address that. And so I don't know. I don't think they're worried being down 2-1. I wouldn't be worried at all. Tonight was a quiet night with the bats. Friday night was a couple of bad pitches, right?
Yeah.
Just like a bad luck inning for Sewald that was quite frankly overdue for a closer.
Totally. Yeah, that dude was.
I don't care who you are. You don't go that long without not giving up a run.
And it was 9 out of 9 saves up until that point.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to blow a save eventually, and it just happened to be Game 1 of the World Series.
Yeah. Well, this was the least eventful game of the series. That's absolutely true. Let's hope it's the last of its kind, I say. The game ended 3-1 Texas. All 3 of Texas's runs came in the third. The Rangers are notably on a 9-0, a 9-win, 0-loss road streak.
They're 9-0 on the road.
Thanks, buddy.
Getting
Why
late
was
there,
that
Brig.
so hard to say? I know. I need to retire to my quarters. Maybe sit down with some. Nah,
Not used to being up this late on the ship, are you, Cap?
I guess
No.
not. I don't usually pull the watch at this bell
Solid.
or whatever.
But no, so okay, so like you said, Rangers are undefeated so far in the postseason. 9-0.
Yeah.
Who you
On the
got in
road.
the series? 9-0 on the road, right? Who you got in this series? Do you think the Rangers win this series on the road? They end up taking a game 5, or do they take it back home?
I think they lose. They're going to lose in Arizona one game.
Okay.
Do you think so?
I think they'll lose at least one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is the thing, is that so far, relatively speaking, the Diamondbacks have shut down the Texas Bats.
Yes.
Right? 6-5, yes. I get that. But 3 of those were scored in the 9th inning and later.
That's right. That's right.
They scored one run in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
3 runs tonight was all.
That's it.
Those are not insurmountable for the Diamondbacks.
No way.
They just got to get things moving with stealing bases, set more sack bunts, string together some more hits because that's their game.
Manufacture runs. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the Diamondbacks can still pull this thing out. It's a long series.
Yeah, that's true. 2 more games in Arizona before we have to decide if we're going back to the Arlington area, Globe Life Field.